Right now, Titan remains unexplored, but a NASA mission will change all that. The spacecraft Cassini blasted off from Earth in 1997. When it reaches Titan, a probe will descend into the atmosphere at nearly 4 miles a second. Titan is about half the size of Earth, but its atmosphere is 4 times as dense, and the temperature is a distinctly chilly minus 290 degrees Fahrenheit. If the probe survives its landing, it will radio its data some 700 million miles across space back to Earth. Scientists think that Titan could be rich in organic chemicals that would have been common on primitive Earth when our own life began. Maybe that means there are microbes here too. An even more inhospitable world for life is Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. At first glance, it looks like a dead, frozen landscape. The entire surface is concealed by a layer of ice, but a closer look reveals something amazing. Photographs taken by the Galileo probe revealed multiple crisscrossing lines covering this icy world. There's only one other place in the solar system with similar features: the frozen Arctic seas on Earth, where the ice floats on water and is constantly moving. That makes scientists believe there is a chance that underneath the icy surface of Europa could be a vast liquid ocean. But what's keeping the ocean from freezing totally? It could be kept liquid by the huge forces on the moon. Europa is being pulled in different directions by the gravitational forces of Jupiter and the other moons around the planet. These tidal forces heat up the moon's core enough to keep the ocean around it liquid. Eventually, NASA hopes to probe even further into Europa's mysteries. One idea is to send an orbiter that would scan the surface to confirm whether there is indeed an ocean below the ice. Once an orbiter locates a thin spot in the ice, it may be able to send down a robotic probe looking for life in the water below. The Hydrobot could then send back digital pictures as it scours the ocean. It may find hotspots on the ocean floor, called hydrothermal vents. These cracks in the ground spout warm, nutrient-rich water. On Earth, these vents are home to many simple life forms. Perhaps the Hydrobot could find Europa as fertile as our ocean floor. Might our nearest aliens be living here? But the best candidate for past or present life in our solar system is Mars. In recent years, an armada of spacecraft has been sent to Mars. NASA's Mars rover mission has found evidence of volcanic activity, wind effects, and most importantly, indications in the veins of some rocks that sometime in the past, Mars did have water underground in liquid form. And where there is water on Earth, there is life. So many scientists believe it's possible Mars did at one time host some form of life. Scientists believe, with the evidence they've gathered from our planet and the solar system, that life exists elsewhere in the universe. But what might such creatures look like? Next, Naked Science meets the aliens. We've learned there may be water elsewhere in our solar system. We've seen evidence of life forms we had no idea could exist here on Earth. Now, Naked Science asks, what could alien beings look like? For years, Hollywood's version of an alien was to put a suit on a person. But now, with computer graphics becoming more and more sophisticated, designers are no longer constrained by the human form and really use their imaginations. Joel Hagen from Modesto, California, is a designer who's worked for NASA as an imagery specialist.
It's so easy to think that the human form, that our own form, is the ideal form for an intelligent being. I think that this is just part of the inevitable anthropocentric view that we have of things. And as we try to think of what an intelligent creature would look like, it generally winds up looking kind of like ourselves, with hands, eyes, ears, a head, and walking around. The idea for this one would be a fairly low-gravity planet, so I gave him some long, fairly spindly legs. I was envisioning sort of a jungle environment. This kind of odd scissor-like appendage that I've given it here, it has the ability actually to completely crouch down if there are strong winds, or scissor itself up very high to be able to work with things in its environment.
Back on Earth, there are many who believe we don't need to go looking on other planets to find evidence of alien intelligence. One survey found that over half the population of the United States believes that we have been visited by alien beings. Is there any possibility that they're right? We next traveled to Wiltshire in England, where strange things began to happen to the wheat fields one summer. The crop circle phenomenon was born. Some believed that these intricate patterns were landing sites of alien spacecraft. Others suggested they may be messages left by extraterrestrials, or navigation devices made and used by aliens. It's even been suggested they may be created by powerful winds, and to give the theory credibility, it's been called the plasma vortex theory. John Lundberg has another explanation. They're just hoaxes. And how does he know? Because he's one of the world's leading circle makers. He and his team are responsible for some of the most complex and sophisticated crop circles ever seen.
We wanted to create circles that were so big and so complex that people would once again question that these things are man-made.
And to prove once and for all they are made by humans, Lundberg has agreed to create for naked science our very own crop circle. This circle will take about 90 minutes to create. First, he marks out the circumference of his circle. He uses a 300-foot surveyor's tape to measure out the pattern. The design is worked out in advance on computer. The crop circler's secret weapon is a stalk stomper, a 4-foot plank of wood they use to flatten the crop. And there's not a single alien in sight. But even though Lundberg openly demonstrates the secrets behind crop circles, there are a few diehards who still believe that these are alien in origin.
The formation that we've created here has actually been made in daylight. And so the researchers will say that this is not the correct kind of test conditions, because obviously we've got daylight, which enables us to make the circle easier. And obviously these are things that they put forward as being part of the genuine article.
It's not just crop circles that have been thought to be signs of alien visitation. Here in the Peruvian desert, about 250 miles south of Lima, is a plain covering nearly 200 square miles. It contains a series of perfectly straight lines. This grand geometric form is on a scale so large, it can only be truly appreciated from the air. The longest line goes 9 miles across the plain. In and around the lines are strange symbols and pictures of beasts. Archaeologists believe that these lines date back to 200 BC. The forms are so difficult to see from the ground. It wasn't until the 1930s that aircraft surveying for water were able to make them out. So how did they get there, and what are they there for? The Swiss writer Erich von Däniken made his fortune by suggesting this was a giant landing strip for alien spacecraft. The only trouble with that theory is the desert floor here is soft earth and loose stone, hardly suitable for landing any heavy aircraft or flying saucers. So if it's not a private airstrip for alien visitors, what is it? Most researchers think that it's some form of giant site of worship,